solution, that we are going back to centralizing matters that have already been devolved. When I read some of the amendments, particularly just a statement such as the one there on 2A, at the national government level, a state department, agency, or state corporation which intends to have its functions undertaken by a private party. We are basically saying that after the introduction of devolution and after devolving functions for purposes of efficiency, such that the people on the county and the grassroots these matters, and not only are we centralizing it's also we want to commercialize it. Now, do I have a problem with it, with water being commercialized? I don't think the problem is water being commercialized. The question then becomes, by commercializing this service, are we actually bringing the cost down? Are we ensuring that now all the Kenyans in every single part of this country are receiving the water? That is the main question, because some people will say we don't want to commercialize it. But if you look at some of the things that we're dealing with under Kenya Power, we are always pushing to have it commercialized so that we can have competition, so that we can have so many other players to bring down the cost of electricity. So commercializing it is not the problem. The problem is, are we actually, in the guise of making amendments, centralizing back powers that have been devolved and making the provision of water more expensive? Because when I read through this proposed bill, I tend to have a feeling that we are trying to even move it closer to the problems such as the KPLC problems that we have right now. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that provision of basic needs, water included there, being a basic need, we must ask ourselves whether we are amending for the interests of Kenyans or whether we are amending for the interests of very few players in a commercial space, Mr. Speaker. I have heard Senator Sifuna talking about the investment that national government and even county governments have put on infrastructure for provision of water. It takes me back to a time when we have been able to see certain individuals using government offices to go and give crazy proposals to seek loans for purposes of investment of infrastructure for whatever field. In this particular point, this agency that we want to create will have the power, the mandate to go out, seek loans, stating that they want to bring development in terms of infrastructure of water. But then how do we account and how do we make sure that those loans do not, trickle down to now the mwananchi? At the end of the day, you'll be told, now maji imepanda, the water has gone up because of the loans that we took on infrastructure. I think if we're talking about ensuring that water provision is being is effective down to the grassroots, then let us talk about all these amendments, but from a grassroots and a devolved perspective, such that if we're talking about having PPPs, private-public partnerships, let us talk about PPPs on a county, on a devolved unit, so that we are not losing the water service providers in terms of now centralizing them back to a national government and then having them negotiate with national government on provision of water to their people. Mr. Speaker, for me, it is imperative that the fundamental question here is, are we legislating for the interests of Kenyan people, for Kenyans, or the interest of a few individuals who want to commercialize a specific industry for their own benefit? Mr. Speaker, when I read some of the clauses in this bill, I just begin to wonder, first of all, why this bill originated from the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, anytime we are proposing bills here in the Senate and they touch on issues to do with money, it is even the legal department that will advise you that, Mheshimiwa, this bill you are trying to legislate is actually a money bill and should therefore originate from the National Assembly. In that same spirit, I am wondering why there is a bill that is touching on devolution and county assemblies originating from the National Assembly. Yet, the Senate is mandated to oversight issues on county assemblies and devolution. So it also, I then question, whoever, and with all due respect, because we are all legislators, why did this bill originate from the National Assembly? This is something that we should have been, as senators, been allowed to discuss at the Senate, because it touches particularly on devolved functions and on county assemblies and county governments, so that we can say, okay, yes, we need to make the space of water provision efficient for Kenyans. So let us sit down as legislators who are oversighting county governments and devolved units and talk about how to make water provision more effective for Kenyans. So, Mr. Speaker, I think having said that, you know, when I stood, I was not sure whether I was supporting or I was opposing. I actually stood, I said, you know what, let me just speak my mind, and then maybe at the end of it I will know. But the more I speak and the more I put my points there, I know that this is a bill that has been fronted by the majority leader, and but I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, respectfully, I oppose this bill. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I have got communication to make with regards to our visiting institution, and in the public gallery we have 48 students accompanied by 6 teachers from Lesirwo Secondary School in Kericho County who are undertaking an educational visit in the Senate. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you, and I would request the Majority Whip on behalf of the Senator for Kericho to also, under 1 minute, welcome the delegation.